Here's something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Every financial mistake you've ever made, every impulse purchase, every avoided investment, every time you said you'd start saving next month and didn't, none of that was really your fault. Not entirely. Because buried inside your skull is a piece of biological hardware that was never designed to build wealth. It was designed to keep you alive. And those two things are not the same. Hi, I'm Ryan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why intelligent, hardworking people make consistently terrible decisions with money. Not because they're lazy or irresponsible, but because their brains are running software that's about 40,000 years out of date. Here's what nobody in the personal finance world wants to admit. The advice is usually right. Spend less than you earn, invest early, avoid debt. Everyone knows this. And yet the average American has less than $1,000 in savings. So the problem was never information. The problem is that your brain is actively working against every piece of good financial advice you've ever received. And until you understand exactly how, nothing is going to change. Let's start with the part of your brain that's quietly destroying your finances every single day. It's called the amygdala. It's roughly the size of an almond, it sits deep in the center of your brain, and its entire job is to scan your environment for threats and trigger an immediate response. Fear, urgency, action. Right now. Not later. Now. This was incredibly useful 40,000 years ago when threats were things like predators, rival tribes, and starvation. Your amygdala kept your ancestors alive by making them react instantly to danger without stopping to think. The problem is your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a lion chasing you and a credit card offer in your inbox. Both trigger the same response. Urgency. Act now. Don't think. Now. This is why limited time offers work so well. This is why sales feel so compelling even when you weren't planning to buy anything. This is why you've clicked buy now on things you absolutely did not need at 11 o'clock at night. Your amygdala fired. Your rational brain never got a vote. But here's where it gets more interesting and more frustrating. Your brain doesn't just react to immediate threats. It's also wired to massively overvalue the present and undervalue the future. Psychologists call this hyperbolic discounting, and it's one of the most financially destructive features of the human brain. Here's how it works. If I offered you $100 today or $150 in 6 months, most people take the $100 today. Even though waiting 6 months for a 50% return is objectively a better financial decision than almost anything you could do with that money. Your brain doesn't see it that way. Future rewards feel abstract and uncertain. Present rewards feel real and immediate. So your brain systematically tilts every financial decision toward right now and away from later. This is why saving for retirement feels so difficult, even when you understand compound interest. The version of you that's 65 years old is essentially a stranger to your brain. You feel genuine emotional connection to present you who wants to buy something today. You feel almost nothing for future you who needs that money in 40 years. So present you wins every single time, until you build systems that make future you impossible to ignore. Now, add loss aversion on top of this and the situation gets even worse. Research by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky showed that losing $100 feels roughly twice as painful as gaining $100 feels good. This isn't a personality quirk. It's a universal feature of human psychology baked into the brain's reward circuitry.
What this means financially is that your brain treats investment losses as emergencies and investment gains as nice surprises. So when the market drops 20%, your amygdala fires. Threat detected. Get out. Protect what's left. And millions of people sell their investments at exactly the wrong moment, locking in losses and missing the recovery. Not because they're stupid, but because their brain's threat detection system is screaming louder than their rational mind. The people who build wealth aren't immune to loss aversion. They just have systems that prevent their amygdala from making investment decisions. But here's the piece that most personal finance content completely skips over, and it might be the most important thing in this entire video. Your brain doesn't just make you react badly to financial threats, it actively limits your ability to think about money when you don't have enough of it. Researchers at Princeton and Harvard studied sugarcane farmers in India before and after their annual harvest. Before harvest, money was tight. After harvest, they had cash. The same farmers scored significantly higher on cognitive tests after harvest than before. Not because they became smarter, because financial scarcity literally consumes mental bandwidth. When you're worried about money, your brain is running a constant background process dedicated entirely to that problem. It's like having 40 browser tabs open at all times. Every other cognitive task, planning, decision-making, impulse control, gets slower and worse. The people who most need to make good financial decisions are operating with the least mental capacity to do so. That's not a moral failure. That's neuroscience. This is why getting to even a small financial cushion changes everything. It's not just the money. It's that your brain finally has the breathing room to think clearly again. So, what do you actually do with all of this?
The first thing is to stop trying to out-willpower your own brain. Willpower is a finite resource, and your amygdala is always going to win a direct confrontation. The solution is to remove the confrontation entirely. Automate your investments so the decision is never made in the moment. Set up automatic transfers on payday before the money hits your checking account. Make saving the default, not the choice. Because every time you have to actively choose to save, you're asking your present-biased, loss-averse, threat-reactive brain to make a long-term decision. That is a fight you will lose more often than you win. The second thing is to make your future self feel real. This sounds strange, but it's grounded in research. People who have a vivid, concrete image of their future financial life, specific goals, specific numbers, specific timelines, consistently save more and invest more than people with vague intentions. Your brain needs to feel an emotional connection to future you. So write it down. Calculate the exact number. Make it specific enough that your brain treats it as real rather than abstract. The third thing is to design your environment so that good financial decisions are the easy ones, and bad financial decisions are the hard ones. Delete shopping apps from your phone. Put your investment accounts on a separate app from your checking account so you're not constantly seeing the balance and feeling the itch to do something with it. Unsubscribe from retail emails. Make friction your friend. Here's the thing. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It's keeping you safe in the present. It's just not designed for a world where the biggest threats are invisible, slow-moving, and measured in decades rather than seconds. The people who build real wealth aren't the ones who somehow conquered their brain. They're the ones who stopped fighting it and started designing around it instead. Your biology is not your destiny, but it is your starting point.